So we're getting towards the end of the award season for the 2017 movies, and I thought it would be pretty interesting to give my own awards and announce my own winners in a bunch of different categories. I tried to keep my awards pretty relevant to the award season, which is kind of dominated by US media like Golden Globes and the Academy Awards. So my only eligibility criteria was that all the films that I could pick had to have a US release in 2017. To check, I just quickly went through IMDb. If there are any mistakes, sorry. Of course, my awards will not line up with the Academy Awards because I generally disagree with them quite strongly. I really doubt a lot of my picks will have any success at the Academy Awards. There's also something to note, which is that I aren't doing just Academy Award categories. I have my own categories which are different to the Academy Awards, and I've just picked categories that I think are interesting and that need to be talked about. I don't necessarily think these are categories that the Academy Awards always have, and there's certain categories that the Academy Awards have that I don't. I also think it's worth pointing out that I have seen every Oscar nominated film this year aside from 4, and those 4 were all just nominated in like documentary, animated or foreign film categories, and they haven't had a UK release date, so I couldn't have seen them. For each of my categories I have 5 honourable mentions, 5 nominations, and then from those nominations I pick a winner. So let's just get on with it, and we'll start off with some of the more technical awards. So my first category is Best Visual Effect, which is just basically how great I think the effects were visually. So my honourable mentions for this category are Beauty and the Beast, Ghost in the Shell, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, and Transformers The Last Night. My nominations are Blade Runner 2049, Dunkirk, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and War for the Planet of the Apes. And my winner is War for the Planet of the Apes. The visual effects in this movie are fantastic. The motion capture to capture all of the apes is just phenomenal, and I think every single second of this movie just looks really clean and crisp and really realistic. So moving on to another technical category, let's look at best sound effects. My honourable mentions for this are Blade of the Immortal, Free Fire, Kong Skull Island, The Shape of Water, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. My nominees are Baby Driver, Blade Runner 2049, Detroit, Dunkirk, and War for the Planet of the Apes. And I think my winner is Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner 2049 has a wonderful soundscape. In fact, that's one of the best things about the film, is just how great it sounds. It really does sound like a futuristic world, and the sounds of Blade Runner 2049 really draw you in. It's a film where every single sound sounds original, weird and sci-fi, and it just sounds like a very interesting and unique soundscape. So the next one is Best Production Design, basically just the sets and the design of the world. My honourable mentions for this category are Beauty and the Beast, Darkest Hour, Mudbound, Phantom Thread, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. My nominees are Anti-Porno, Blade Runner 2049, Dunkirk, The Lost City of Zed, and The Shape of Water. And my winner is Blade Runner 2049. I think once again, just like how it has such brilliant sound, it has such brilliant world building in its design. It is a real living and breathing world. Every single set, every single scene looks like it's part of a wide ranging world. There's a bunch of original flourishes. It's a very distinct design for the production. So another technical category, Best Costumes next. My honourable mentions are Anti-Porno, Beauty and the Beast, The Beguiled, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is a Breakaway Chapter 1, and Victoria and Abdul. My nominees are Dunkirk, The Lost City of Zed, Phantom Thread, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and Wonder Woman. And I think this award easily goes to Phantom Thread. I mean, Phantom Thread is a film about clothing, and I think there's so many intricate designs, there's so many fascinating designs, there's so much detail in the clothing, it's so specific to the characters, it really has a real tactile vibe to how they're presented on screen. The amount of fantastic costumes in Phantom Thread is just pretty much unparalleled in cinema this year. I think it's easily the best costume film of the year. Next up is Best Cinematography, and my honourable mentions are Call Me By Your Name, Good Time, The Lost City of Zed, Mudbound, and The Shape of Water. And my nominees are Blade Runner 2049, Dunkirk, Phantom Thread, Loveless, and Song to Song. And my winner is Blade Runner 2049 yet again. This is a film which is just excelling in the technical categories. The cinematography of Blade Runner 2049 by Roger Deakins is just fantastic. It's one of the best shot films of the year, quite easily. So for Best Music, not necessarily an original score, but just the best use of music and also just good music. My honourable mentions are Good Time, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, Song to Song, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and T2 Trainspotting. My nominees are Baby Driver, Blade Runner 2049, Coco, Dunkirk, and Phantom Thread. And my winner is Phantom Thread. So Phantom Thread is scored by Johnny Greenwood, and he once again produces a superb collaboration with Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's just easily, I think, the best score of the year. It's certainly the score I'm listening to the most at the moment. I think it wins without much comparison to me, and on top of that, Paul Thomas Anderson uses music like no one else, and I think his music is used to perfection in Phantom Thread. So next to is best visuals. The distinction between this category and best cinematography is that I'm looking far less at how technically impressive the shots are and more just at how beautiful and how meaningful the shots are. I think this is a little bit different. So these are my honourable mentions for best visuals. Anti-Porno, The Bad Batch, Dunkirk, In This Corner of the World, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. My nominees are Blade Runner 2049, Loving Vincent, Phantom Thread, The Shape of Water, and Song to Song. And my winner is Blade Runner 2049 again. Yes, I know I gave it best cinematography, but the cinematography is amazing and the visuals are amazing. They are technically impressive as well as being beautiful and meaningful. The visuals in Blade Runner 2049 are pretty much unparalleled this year, no question. So next up, and the final technical category, is best editing. My honourable mentions here are I, Tonya, LN92, The Shape of Water, Song to Song, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. My nominees are Baby Driver, Blade Runner 2049, Dunkirk, Good Time, and Phantom Thread. And the winner is Dunkirk. Dunkirk's editing is pretty much flawless. It cuts across 3 timelines superbly. It really works to create tension. The editing here is just spot on. It makes the whole thing comprehensible and it makes it so intense. The editing in Dunkirk is easily the best editing of the year, I think. So next here is best screenplay, and I'm just looking how well written the film is. My honourable mentions for this category are A Ghost Story, I, Daniel Blake, Lady Bird, On the Beach at Night Alone, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. My nominees are Blade Runner 2049, Get Out, Loveless, Phantom Thread, and The Shape of Water. And my winner here is Phantom Thread. This film is immaculately written, and a lot of original ideas within its story, but it's also very much a homage to other genres. It's a film whose writing is just intricate and detailed and spot on, and I have to say every single scene seems written perfectly. There's so much dialogue, there's so much snappy dialogue. I think the writing here is very specific. There's a lot of great writing this year, but I think that Phantom Thread has it for me. So here's a category not of the Oscars, best premise. I'm basically just looking at the core idea of the film and which one just struck me as the most, oh yeah, that's a really great idea for a movie. Whether or not the film turns out to be good is a different question, but just the pure raw potential of the premise, what was the best of the year? And for my honourable mention of this category are Anti-Porno, The Discovery, Free Fire, Loving Vincent, and The Shape of Water. My nominees are A Ghost Story, Colossal, Get Out, Logan, and Raw. And my winner here is Get Out. The idea of making a horror movie which is also a racial metaphor and a film that deconstructs liberal values regarding race, I think is a fascinating idea. I think just the concept had me hooked before I even saw the film. The idea of making a horror partial comedy about that topic just seems so interesting, and the fact that the film does it so well and is so metaphorical and is so interesting is kind of proof that it was a good idea to begin with. Get Out has easily the best premise of the year, I feel. So next up is best ending. So kind of opposite to premise, this category doesn't just necessarily reflect the final scene. It's depending on the film. I was thinking either of the entire sort of final few scenes or just a final moment. Just depends on the movie. A good ending is a bad film. That's basically what this category is. So here's my honourable mention for best ending. Baby Driver, Brawl in Cell Block 99, A Ghost Story, Loveless, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. My nominees are Blade Runner 2049, Get Out, Phantom Thread, T2 Trainspotting, and The Villainess. And I think the winner here is once again Get Out. Not only is it a great original idea, but that ending, I mean, there's a couple of moments in the final few scenes of Get Out which are fantastic. I think it's easily the best ending of the year, and it really is one of those films that is great all the way through and then just really improves itself with how it ends. So next up is best scene, and this is basically just the best moment of the year, or kind of best 45 minutes of the year. This is obviously a spoiler-filled category, so as soon as I say a film's name, if you don't find out anything about the film, please jump ahead. So basically my honourable mentions in this category are Anti-Porno, the opening porn shoot, Call Me By Your Name, the conversation / speech with the father towards the end, I, Daniel Blake, the food bank sequence, In This Corner of the World, the end of the war and the subsequent fallout, Star Wars The Last Jedi, when Luke fights Kylo Ren in the First Order. So my nominees are Blade Runner 2049, the snow falling at the end and Kay on the steps, Detroit, the Algiers hotel incident, raid, killings, Get Out, when the car with sirens arrives right towards the end, Phantom Thread, when Reynolds is being cooked and then served an omelette, and Wonder Woman, when Wonder Woman and her soldiers cross no man's land. So my winner here is the scene from Get Out. Maybe you could have guessed that given that it won best ending, but yeah, that really is a subversive scene, and I loved it in the cinema. It gave me absolute chills, and I thought, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this is going to be an ending which I don't want it to be. And then the ending is something else. It's a fantastic ending. I think Get Out easily the best scene of the year. It's certainly the moment that I think is most impactful and most meaningful and just most emotionally grueling from 2017. Although I have to say this is a very tightly strung category. I had a lot of trouble picking a winner from these nominees. So next is Best Character, another award that you won't see at the Oscars. And I'm just going to look for a character that I think was really fun to watch, or a character that I just like to watch, or a character I found interesting or well developed, that sort of thing. So my honourable mention in this category are Colonel Richard Strickland from The Shape of Water, Lavona Faye Golden from I, Tonya Hardy's mother, Logan/Wolverine from Logan, Mark Venton from T2 Trainspotting, and Suki/Cho Yun-soo from The Villainess. My nominees are Bobby Hicks from The Florida Project, Christine Lady Bird McPherson from Lady Bird, Molly Bloom from Molly's Game, Reynolds Woodcock from Phantom Thread, and Tommy Wiseau from The Disaster Artist. So all of these characters are basically the characters I just like to watch, and I think the winner here is Reynolds Woodcock and Phantom Thread, because he is such an enigma. He's a character that I think I really want to dissect, and I think the whole point of the film is to work out what he wants. I think what's fascinating about the film is that he's kind of the central character, and he's the central thematic point of the film. Everything revolves around him, and I think he's just the most intricate original creation of the year. He's not based on anybody, and he's so interesting and fascinating and intricate. I really want to just dissect who he is, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's my favourite character of the year. So next up is Best Acting Ensemble, just basically looking at the entire cast, which cast just gave the best overall performance. And honourable mentions in this category go to I, Daniel Blake, Logan Lucky, The Post, Song to Song, and T2 Trainspotting. My nominees are Blade Runner 2049, The Florida Project, Lady Bird, The Meyerowitz Stories New and Selected, and Phantom Thread. And the winner is The Florida Project. The Florida Project is an outstanding cast. Not only is there some great performances by well-established actors, the majority of the cast is actually not established actors and newcomers, and all of them are so naturalistic and real. Their performances are fresh and raw, and their performances are really, really believable. Their performances sell every scene of that movie, and I think it easily has the best cast of the year. So next up, Best Supporting Actress. I'm getting into more traditional Oscar categories now. So my honourable mentions go to Marianne Cotillard for It's Only the End of the World, Anna de Armas for Blade Runner 2049, Daphne Keane for Logan, Ella Rump for Raw, and Hayley Squires for I, Daniel Blake. My nominees are Hong Chow for Downsizing, Alison Janney for I, Tonya, Leslie Manville for Phantom Thread, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Bria Vanaite for The Florida Project. And my winner is Alison Janney for I, Tonya. She steals the show in that film. She really is outstanding as playing the really harsh and swearing mother of Tonya Harding. She is comedic, she's funny, she's really embodies that character, and I think it's a really, really great performance. It's one of those things where she just steals the show, and I think that's a mark of a good supporting character, is that they really stand out after the film has ended, even though they weren't on screen for the majority of the time. She really deserves all the praise she's getting, and a lot of the awards buzz that she has. So next up is Best Supporting Actor. My honourable mentions go to Harrison Ford for Blade Runner 2049, Mark Hamill for Star Wars The Last Jedi, Armie Hammer for Call Me By Your Name, Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World, and Michael Shannon for The Shape of Water. My nominees are Daniel Craig for Logan Lucky, Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project, Little Rel Howery for Get Out, Will Poulter for Detroit, and Michael Stuhlbarg for Call Me By Your Name. And my winner here is Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project. He is outstanding. In a cast full of amateurs, he's the only professional, but he is utterly fantastic. He feels just as down to earth as everyone else, and he's so likeable, he's charismatic, his performance is multi-layered. He's the heart and soul of that movie in a lot of ways, and when I feel like Willem Dafoe is an actor who's grossly underrated, and I feel like this is one of his best performances ever. So now on to one of the really big categories, Best Actress. And this was the most difficult category for me this year. I had a lot of trouble even deciding who's going to be an honourable mention in this category. This was just so overloaded, there was at least sort of 20 in consideration. My honourable mentions here go to Jessica Chastain from Molly's Game, Frances McDormand from Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Mariana Spivak from Loveless, Kristen Stewart from Personal Shopper, and Emma Stone from Battle of the Sexes. My nominees are Sally Hawkins from The Shape of Water, Kim Min-hee from On the Beach at Night Alone, Brooklyn Prince from The Florida Project, Margot Robbie from I, Tonya, and Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird. And my winner here is Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird, because she is the beating heart and soul of that movie. Saoirse Ronan is one of the best actresses of her generation, and she is so superb in Lady Bird. She makes every scene of that movie so watchable. She really embodies her character. She really is fantastic, and I think she really is the perfect casting choice in that film, and she is phenomenal. So now on to Best Actor, and once again this is a tough category, although not as tough as Best Actress this year. My honourable mentions go to James McAvoy for Split, Josh O'Connor for God's Own Country, Robert Pattinson for Good Time, Adam Sandler for The Meyerowitz Stories, and Andy Serkis for War for the Planet of the Apes. My nominees are Timothée Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, James Franco for The Disaster Artist, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, and Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour. And my winner here is Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, because Daniel Day-Lewis just so embodies his character. I feel Daniel Day-Lewis is so perfect here, you know, as he is in almost anything. I know this is Gary Oldman's year in a lot of ways, and he was a very close second choice for me, but I have to say Daniel Day-Lewis is fantastic, as he always is. And I feel like, had he not already won 3 Oscars, this would be an Oscar-winning performance. He is superb, and there's no question here that Daniel Day-Lewis, to me, was the standout actor of the year. Every second that he's on screen, you can't look away. He is fantastic. And that was kick off with 5 sort of second-tier best film categories where films were eligible for 1. So I'm going to just start with Best Foreign Language Film, and I'm not including any documentaries or any animation here. And my honorable mentions here, I got The Blade of the Immortal, It's Only the End of the World, The Other Side of Hope, The Salesman, and The Square. My nominees are Anti-Porno, Loveless, On the Beach at Night Alone, Raw, and The Villainess. And my winner is Loveless. Loveless is one of the best films of the year. Loveless is an absolutely perfect depiction of love and hate, and it's just a brilliant metaphor and allegory, and it's one of those bleak masterpieces that you really, really need to see just to really get a grip with how messed up the world really is. So next up is Best Animation, which has been actually a pretty poor year for animation, but nonetheless there was a bunch of really good films. And my honourable mentions here are Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, the Lego Ninjago movie, Loving Vincent, Napping Princess, and A Silent Voice. My nominees are Coco, Ethel and Ernest, In This Corner of the World, the Lego Batman movie, and My Life as a Zucchini. I feel like the winner here has got to be In This Corner of the World. I've barely heard anything about this film, even though it's one of the best animated films I've seen in a long time, and the clear standout for me. I feel like this is a film which is so brilliant. It's such a wonderful depiction of life and of war. It's one of those films that has a very unique style to it. It's very, very moving. It's a film which I love totally, and I'm really surprised that no one else is really talking about it. So next up is Best Documentary, and my honourable mentions here are Chasing Coral, City of Ghosts, Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond, Risk, and Strong Island. My nominees are Abacus, Small Enough to Jail, Faces Places, Icarus, LA 92, and Step. And my winner here is LA 92. It's basically just edited footage of the 1992 riots in LA, and I think it's just a brilliant way to look at it as a historical text. It doesn't really have any interviews, it just has footage, and I feel like it's one of those films that's just a giant montage, which a giant montage is brilliant. It really tells you a lot, it really gives you a lot of insight, just because it only shows raw footage of people at the time. I feel like it's a fascinating historical document, and one of those films that you will always just learn something from if you're not really clued up on things like this. I feel like it's a fascinating and great little documentary. So next up is Best Oscar nominated film, and to clarify this category, I'm only including films that got a nomination in the big 8 categories, so picture, directing, the 4 acting categories and the 2 writing categories, because basically to get a nomination in Best Picture, you need to basically get nominated somewhere else. Those are categories that everyone seems to care the most about, and so really these are the awards-friendly movies of the year. And my honourable mentions here are The Disaster Artist, The Florida Project, Get Out, I, Tonya, and The Post. And my nominees are Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, and The Shape of Water. And my winner here is The Shape of Water. I know Phantom Thread has been just winning a ton of categories, but it isn't my favourite film nominated for Best Picture. Because although I think it might be technically the best, it might be the one that nails it, The Shape of Water is a film that I just think has my heart. It is a film that I absolutely love in every single little way. And although I think it kind of doesn't have anything as outstanding within it as Phantom Thread, but as a whole I think it's marginally greater. I feel like as a whole it's a film that I really, really adore. So The Shape of Water is the film I'm hoping wins Best Picture. So next up is Best English Language Film. So basically what I'm looking at here is films that were released in the US in English, so basically were eligible for Oscars, but were overlooked. Although by overlooked I'm meaning that it can get nominated in technical categories. I'm just looking for stuff that didn't get nominated in like the big 8 that I said before, writing, acting, directing and picture. So basically these are just movies that were really snubbed in the picture category. So here's my honourable mentions for this list: God's Own Country, Good Time, I, Daniel Blake, The Maya Witch Stories, New and Selected, and Song to Song. And my nominees are Blade Runner 2049, A Ghost Story, Okja, Star Wars The Last Jedi, and War for the Planet of the Apes. And my winner is Blade Runner 2049. This is easily the film which I feel was most snubbed by the Oscars, because this is the film which deserved to be up there for Best Picture and all the other big awards categories. It's only getting technical nominations because reasons I don't know, because it's a fantastic film. It's a film which is deep and philosophical, and it's a film which has so much to say, has such great storytelling, has such great acting. It's a film which is really, really deep and meaningful. It's a film which is just fantastically made across the board. I'm surprised this isn't getting more nominations, but then again it did bomb at the box office, and if you're a blockbuster, you ain't got any chance at the Oscars if you bomb. That's just how it is. So we're almost there. My penultimate category is Best Director. So some honourable mentions. Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, Hong Sang-soo for On the Beach at Night Alone, Rian Johnson for Star Wars The Last Jedi, Sonao Katabuchi for In This Corner of the World, and Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk. My nominations go to Paul Thomas Anderson for Phantom Thread, Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water, Jordan Peele for Get Out, Denis Villeneuve for Blade Runner 2049, and Andrei Zagintsev for Loveless. And my winner here is Paul Thomas Anderson for Phantom Thread. Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't put a foot wrong in Phantom Thread. Every single moment of that film is intricate and perfect and detailed. I think his direction is outstanding. Although a couple of films I do prefer to Phantom Thread, I can't really say that those films are made with the auteurist vision that is as strong, as consistent, and as well executed as Phantom Thread. So finally onto the big category, Best Film. My best film picks. And this category was another toughie. You know, I've seen over 100 movies that were eligible for this list, and knocking it down to 10 was tough. There's a lot of honourable mentions that I could have picked, but once again I limited myself to 5. So here they are. My honourable mentions are A Ghost Story, In This Corner of the World, Lady Bird, On the Beach at Night Alone, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. My nominees are Blade Runner 2049, Dunkirk, Loveless, Phantom Thread, and The Shape of Water. And man, this was tough, but I had to say, Blade Runner 2049 has it for me. Blade Runner 2049 blew me away in the cinema more than once. It's a film which I just think is fantastic. It's a film that matches the original, but it's also startlingly original. It's a film with so many ideas, so many discussions, so many ideas inherent within it. It's a fantastic film, and easily my best of the year, even if the Oscars and every other award show seems to think it isn't. Which, you know, whatever, I always disagree with them. But I will say this, my level of agreement with the Oscar nominations this year is higher than it's been since at least like 2010. This is a fantastic set of nominees, and I feel like almost all of the big picks are going to films without traditional Oscar bait. So whilst I disagree in plenty of small ways, in the broader picture, this is a pretty solid set of Oscar nominees, and as you can see in my awards, I have quite a lot of crossover. So there we go. I'd love to hear what you guys all have as your awards picks, what films you think should win in various categories. I'd love to hear your choices, perhaps of some of my categories. I'd be interested to see what other people would say. If you want to know more about my awards list, I put a link in the description to a list that has a bunch of stats. It also has a bunch of negative awards for the worst films of the year. I've also listed every single film that was eligible if you want to check whether or not I missed out a film that you would have picked, because it's quite possible I just didn't see it. And I would love to hear what you think. Please let me know, and if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing, you can subscribe to this channel or follow me on Letterboxd or Twitter with links in the description. And thank you for watching.